Welcome to Two Pretentious Hipsters Review Modern Music.
Whatever.
Ugh.
Disgusting. Alex,
Brandon.
as a fellow goth boy, what'd you think about this album?
Well, initially, my thoughts were that it was mediocre. But the more I listened to it, the more I really started to enjoy it.
So for me, this album perfectly encapsulates my cold, dead, black, greasy heart.
I've seen it. It's real. The first thing I really noticed was their lead singer, Paul Banks' voice.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of like, sometimes he's half screaming, and a lot of times it's pretty monotone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's obviously kind of inspired by Joy Division. I really liked it. At first, it was kind of grinding on the ears. However, you really warm up to it. I really started to like it.
Yeah, Paul Banks was up and grinding on your ears.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The reason why Paul Banks started yelling so loudly on these songs was because the drums were way too loud. So what started as just a necessity that he had to yell over the drums while they were recording, it definitely turns into its own aesthetic, its own style that I really like.
To be completely honest, their guitar work and their skill on the guitar, it's not very high. I wouldn't say they're that great at the guitar, and the
Right.
guitar overall, it isn't very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
However, what makes it good is how they layer it over each other with all the other instruments.
So, we can't not mention the fact that there are some bizarre, weird lyrics
It
on this
boggles my
album.
mind.
This is an actual line from the song Obstacle 2 by Interpol. I feel like love is in the kitchen with a culinary eye. He's cooking something special, and I'm smart enough to try. What is that? For me, they're not actually really flaws. They just kind of add character to the album. The lyrics, they're... Paul Banks is kind of like the cool kid at Chad Kroger school. You know what I mean?
I got you.
He's kind of out of everyone's league. You remember that concert in Portugal where people started throwing rocks at Chad Kroger and the rest of Nickelback until they got off the stage?
I didn't, but it sounds like a hell of a good time.
Yeah, I was one of those people throwing rocks.
Wow.
I threw the first one.
Have we got any Nickelback fans in Portugal? Are you sure? Up to you. You guys want to hear some rock and roll or you want to go home? See ya.
It was like the first shots at Lexington and Concord. I took that step.
Nice.
I made Nickelback
Pound
leave.
it. Respect.
Yeah.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh.
What are your final thoughts on Turn on the Bright Lights by Interpol?
At first, it's kind of polarizing, and you may not get it at first. However, the more you listen to it, the more you really start to like it, and you start to jive with the vibe that they're giving off. And I don't know. Overall, I'm starting to fall in love with this album, and the more I listen to it, the more I'm sure I will.
Yeah, it's definitely an acquired taste. But once you take that first dip into the Interpool
Ooh.
and you dip your toe,
Ooh.
Interpol was so successful in creating and maintaining an aesthetic and a sense of personality on this album right out the gate, their first album. So for me, I mean, this is absolutely a perfect album. I love this album so much. So I really hope you check out this Interpol album. It's really great. My legs hurt. I'm gonna stand.
We'd really appreciate it if you checked out our Instagram and our YouTube.
Yeah. What's your Instagram, Alex?
My Instagram is at @a_Combsy.
And what's my Instagram, Alex?
The real Brandon Cyber.
That's right.
But most importantly, our Instagram for Tipperherm is @Tipperherm the show.
Great. You better follow it.
There.
No, that's it.
Oh.
You better follow it.
Okay.
Run.